Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. I'm Michael Voris. Unless something changes in between the time this Vortex is recorded and Saturday, October 21st, a Lutheran female bishop will have her installation ceremony at the Catholic Cathedral of St. Peter's in Marquette, Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula. The Catholic bishop who has granted permission for this is the ordinary for the Diocese of Marquette, John F. Dorfler. Now, by all accounts, Dorfler is a decent man who cares about the church and his flock, defending traditional teachings of the church and so forth. When the story started circulating around the Catholic world, he issued a letter explaining his actions, which are permitted according to Vatican guidelines. The last line of his somewhat brief letter says, quote, "Let the warm hospitality that we show our Lutheran brothers and sisters be a public witness of how people can and should love each other even when we are divided." Closed quote. That sounds good and all that, but here's the issue for so many faithful Catholics. It seems like everyone is always being accommodated, everyone's needs and their desires and feelings and thoughts and concerns, except faithful Catholics. Frankly, many people are shocked by this action. They're greatly disturbed, despite whatever good intentions the bishop may have. Speaking plainly, this is just a bad move. Every time you turn around these days in the church, it's the faithful Catholics who are taking it on the chin. If it's not clergy who are generally younger and more tradition-minded, then it's the laity being told, you can't kneel for Holy Communion. You must hold hands with each other. Receive Holy Communion in the hand, not the tongue. You're too rigid. You're too doctrinal. You're too unloving. You're not caring. You name it, it's always the few remaining faithful who are completely overlooked, taken for granted, and disregarded. For a bishop, Dorfler or any others, to not understand that this perception is the reality today actually makes the situation even worse. The opposite of love is not hate, but indifference. All of this is having a cumulative effect. It starts to feel like piling on, and at some point, that feeling becomes the reality. It becomes the sort of operating base for every faithful Catholic to start seeing how he or she is viewed by the church. It discourages the faithful. Consider in this case a female who thinks that she is a bishop. She's not, is going to be installed as one, accompanied by two females pretending to be priests, they aren't, in a cathedral built by the first bishop of the area, Frederick Baraga, who came from Europe to ensure that the Catholic faith would be preserved in the mission territories. He even wrote a catechism in 1837 in local language to promote the authentic faith. He was declared venerable by Pope Benedict in 2012 for his intrepid work to promote and preserve the Catholic faith. There were Lutherans back then, you know, even earning the nickname the Snowshoe Priest because he traveled hundreds of miles over the snow-covered countryside of Upper Michigan to bring the sacraments to Catholics. And you know, there were Lutherans back then. See, this is the patrimony, the glories of the faith that faithful Catholics see being squandered for the sake of unity and so forth. It's a slap in the face, intended or not, to so many faithful who have had to endure and still do the watering down of the faith and the presentation of the teachings at every turn. This is a bad move, period. Faithful Catholics, again, feel like they are thrown under the bus for the sake of what? Ecumenism, false ecumenism, sending the signal that all religions are kind of essentially the same. And that is how some people interpret this. You can't get around that. No insult intended here, but for the Catholic bishop to refer to the female being installed, and it doesn't matter if it was a male, doesn't matter, as bishop is completely wrong. He actually calls her bishop in the first sentence of his letter. That has the effect of sounding like other faiths and their offices have equal value to Catholics. She is not a bishop. And the other Lutheran women standing in that Catholic sanctuary pretending to be priests, they're not priests. The title bishop is reserved for those who are successors of the apostles. It is not a term of office handed out to whoever calls themselves by that name. The office of priest, as the name implies, is one who offers sacrifice. These Lutheran women have no authority or power to offer sacrifice, and they should not be accorded that honor, that pretense, because to do so implies that they do. They most certainly do not. Yet once again, here we are, the faithful being smacked across the face. For the sake of feelings and emotions, the only things powering the engine of the Church of Nice these days, we are to sit down, be quiet, and pretend this is all nice. Well, it isn't. It's wrong. Whether it's technically permitted by ecumenical guidelines or not, that's not the issue. It completely disregards the current climate of psychological and spiritual abuse that so many faithful Catholics have to endure continually within the walls of our own church. In the Church of Nice, where feelings reign supreme, everyone's feelings, it seems, must be taken into account except those of faithful Catholics. To the point here, couldn't the Lutherans go find another building? Think about this. This branch of Lutheranism accepts that abortion, child murder, is permissible in various circumstances. Additionally, they support active homosexuality, even ordaining active gays. So this is quite the conundrum here for Bishop Dorfler, isn't it? He preaches the sanctity of life and the sanctity of marriage, as he should, and thumbs up for him, yet opens up his cathedral for the installation of a woman to be a bishop who isn't a bishop, and once she leaves that cathedral with her fake women priests, they'll be working directly against what the Catholic bishop is trying to uphold and support. What unity precisely here are we talking about? If the bishop can't see how completely cockeyed and confusing and hurtful all this is to faithful Catholics, an act perpetrated against them, whether he intends it or not, then we're not sure what would make him realize this. Another in a steady line of Episcopal belts across the face to faithful Catholics. God love you. I'm Michael Voris.